Welcome to Activations with JJ Ascension Message. In this episode, we will be talking about subconscious programming surrounding what healing looks like, as well as the continued efforts to balance the divine feminine and divine masculine on the planet. Thank you so much for joining me. I can't wait to get into this episode with you. Greetings, my dear friends. I'm so thrilled to have you here with me, especially at this time. If you're listening to this episode right when I publish it, I know that a lot of us have been going through it, and I am here holding space for you. I've been experiencing a lot of it with you through the Black Moon Solar Eclipse sessions, as well as the Lunar Eclipse sessions. This whole season has been fascinating for me, and I have the intention to make this a little smoother for you through this message and give you some comfort, give you some clarity. Before I shift into the actual message, which I'm really excited to provide for you, I want to go ahead and let you know I have a couple of things coming up that I think will help you during this time. Two of those things are gatherings, and one of them is a special program that I offer called Multidimensional Soul Integration. So the two gatherings are, first, the Lemurian Sisterhood of the Rose that happens on Sunday, May 22nd in the morning Pacific time. So for those of you in Europe, you should be able to make it. This is for women and men because there are a lot of men out there who are needing to bring in the divine feminine and tap into that energy. If you're tied to Lemuria, if you're trying to increase the divine feminine within you, this Lemurian Sisterhood of the Rose gathering is for you. So I would love to see you there. Secondly, right after that, well, not just like an hour after that, I have a light language circle happening. And the light language circles are so incredible. You get to come and sit in the energy of people who are opening their throat chakras together to practice using light language and trying it out. It's also for people who are advanced, who are still opening though, because I've had people at all different levels of light language come into that circle. We had our first one last Sunday, May 22nd. I do have another one on May 29th if you're unable to make it on the 22nd. And they are not like consecutive. You don't have to go to each one. You can literally just come to one. And wow, it was so powerful last time. I wish I could do a whole podcast episode about what we did and about what I learned. And I might even try to kind of touch on some of those points in an Ascension School episode. At any rate, those are the two gatherings I wanted to mention. And lastly, that very same day, it's going to be a busy day for me, I'm launching this is actually my last multidimensional soul integration cohort as it is right now. I'm totally changing and transforming all of my programs starting June 1st. So if you want to get in the way it is now, get on my calendar the way it is now, I would jump on there and grab those links and sign up. But the multidimensional soul integration is best for people who have already had a session with me. If you have not had a session with me and still want to sign up, I can squeeze you into my calendar. But it is an incredible program for those of you who are releasing a lot. Let me tell you some of the reasons why you're releasing. Some of you might just feel like, okay, yeah, it's my path of ascension. It's the way I'm going to, awaken more and bring myself to a higher vibration. All of that is true. However, there's another reason why you're releasing. One of those reasons is to make room in your energetic container to begin to integrate additional soul aspects that were fragmented intentionally to have other experiences in other lifetimes and develop other gifts. And as you go through the multidimensional soul integration process with me, you begin to integrate those soul aspects. If you are interested in that, if that sounds like something that you're called to do, there are a lot more details that I'm not going to drop in this podcast, but you can click on the link below. I have an entire video dedicated to the process, as well as a page on my website which breaks it all down for you. I would love to have you join us, and it's so fascinating with these cohorts that I do. I can feel how everybody in the cohorts is there for a reason. They really have this bond with each other naturally. It's so incredible to see the groups that are forming and that are called to come together. Okay, let's go ahead and move right in to the main content for the podcast. First and foremost, as I mentioned, we're still in eclipse season. I'm publishing this on the day of the lunar eclipse. I want to address those energies that are flowing through right now. I was able to go outside. It was a little bit cloudy and sit with the lunar eclipse energies. It was incredible. I've been tapping into the eclipse energies from the partial solar eclipse earlier to this one, and I have been so grateful to the moon and the eclipse energies and the way that it's all come together to allow people to release an immense amount of energy, things that are just ready to go. That being said, I am fully aware that has been difficult for many of you over the last couple of weeks, myself included. I mentioned this in an episode last week, but it has absolutely been a somewhat heavy energy. And I know that a lot of you who have done a lot of healing work are like, what in the world is going on? You're feeling it. You're like, I thought I was pretty much there. Like, I thought I was clear and everything was okay. Let me tell you what's been coming up for me regarding what a lot of you are going through right now. First of all, we are releasing a lot of subconscious programming surrounding what healing should look like, even from a quote-unquote spiritual perspective. Because we have been taught over and over and over that healing has to be difficult, that releases have to be difficult. It brought to mind just the idea of childbirth. If you have ever birthed a child, you know that feeling of that ripening of the womb and that feeling of release. And it is painful, okay? And so that's some programming that we've had. I actually believe that I did hypnobirthing with some of my children. And I believe that put me into a state where I was able to release my subconscious programming surrounding childbirth, because we carry with us the trauma of those who came before when we have our children. And so that is there for us. If you've even witnessed somebody giving birth, if you haven't actually done it, you know and understand the energy that I'm talking about. But that came to mind for me as people were releasing. I felt like people felt like there had to be something really hard and painful about it. I even still have spirit reminding people in sessions, it does not have to be difficult for you to do this. That was actually my intention with these eclipse season sessions. As I started the session, I told the person, one, this does not have to happen on a conscious level. This is not talk therapy. We're not here to talk through all these traumas, all these things, all this programming you think you have. Now, I did touch on it a little bit, like just so I could get some background, but the whole session was not going to be about, okay, let's identify this and release it. Let's identify this and release it. I actually used to work with a modality that was similar to that, where you would identify individual emotions or energies one by one and release them. And as I did it, it taught me a lot, but I also felt like there was a more efficient way. And this particular way I was doing it with the moon energy and the eclipse energy, I felt was more efficient. I felt like we were able to shift a lot. It was so gentle, my friends, so gentle. You do not have to experience major stomach cramping or purges or sickness or any of those things. I'm not saying if you're experiencing it, you're a bad person or there's something wrong with you. I'm just saying you get to choose. And that's actually the next thing I want to bring up. One thing that came through to me in a couple of recent sessions I had is something that is related to an experience that I also had when I got my first session with QHHT, where I was going to past lives. What happened is I saw myself going through some emotional trauma on another planet when I was being told that I was going to be sent to Earth and that I needed to do X, Y, and Z on Earth. And I could feel myself having anxiety about it in this other life. All of a sudden, as I was feeling kind of like almost like I didn't have a choice, because there was like this counsel that was telling me that I had to go do this thing. Well, I shifted in my vision to a higher level where all of a sudden Spirit dropped in and said, do you see that you are the one in the end who designed that whole entire scene for yourself and that whole entire sort of roadmap for yourself? In other words, you are not only the puppet, you are the puppet master. You are creating your own reality. My friends, you are doing so much reprogramming right now of all of these structures and this conditioning that teaches you what ascension should be. And I'm telling you right now, as we slip into a balance of divine feminine and divine masculine, which is what I'm going to bring up in a second, we're inviting in a different style of healing, a different way of ascension. Even when we listen and watch accounts that are flashing through our Instagram feed and saying, here are some ascension symptoms that you could be feeling. This and this and this and this and this and this and this. Do you know and understand that you have the power to dismiss those ascension symptoms? Because, I mean, I don't know about you, but I just kind of want to live my regular life too and enjoy it. And sometimes those things get in the way for me. And so as you connect with your body, you can literally have an ascension symptom, acknowledge it, and it can go away in just a second. Now, I know that sounds a little bit like spiritual bypassing. And so you're going to have to kind of explore that yourself and decide what that looks like for you and how to sort of deal with and confront maybe some of the programming you have that's really deep. But that's what this is all about. This is fun. That's what I was saying in my light language circle. I said, we are being invited to incorporate more childlike feelings and energies into this entire process. Light language really does that because you sound really silly at first when you're doing light language. And so you really have to get that child inside you to let loose. But it's amazing. The only way that I've stepped away from the anxiety I felt through religious programming, because I felt a lot when you are taught in a system that is very authoritarian, that is having you bow to something outside of you or request things outside of you, and you are disempowered like that. It brings a lot of anxiety. You feel out of control. Once I have realized that it doesn't have to be that way, I stepped into my own personal power. And I'm not sitting here telling you that I've got it all figured out, because 2 or 3 times a day, I literally have Spirit drop in and remind me, that's some programming you have. That thought that you just thought is programming that you have, and it's programming surrounding this particular thing. So just being able to identify that. I want to bring up 2 more quick things, so please hang with me. I promise it's a little bit longer than a normal Ascension message, but Kerry K, I don't know if you follow her on Instagram or on any of her, mainly on YouTube. It's Kerry and then just the letter K. She has some incredible channeled messages, and one that she put out as a short on her YouTube channel last week really hit me hard. I actually shared it with somebody because I felt so strongly that it was important for us to know. Now, the title of her message was something about, why do I have to suffer? Why does it have to be hard? And she was channeling the Pleiadians, and it was incredible what she brought through. And I, again, want you to just go ahead and listen to it yourself. But I did pull a few quotes from her transcript because I believe it deserves to be stated again somewhere in this world, and I'm putting this vibration out there. It says, and this is kind of what she said, the Pleiadian says, be where you don't want to be. Surrender where you are and be there. And then she says, first, I loved how they said that just be there. First, be aware, be in the discomfort and where you are. And then she said, you cannot move forward from a place you don't occupy. As a difficult and uncomfortable, almost counterintuitive as it is, to allow yourself to really be in the fullness of your presence. So it's kind of like, well, life isn't working for me and I don't like it very much and it's hellishly hard and uncomfortable and I don't want to be here. In fact, I want to be anywhere else, but I'm here. That's what surrender looks like. Surrender is not, oh, I love it. I don't like this, but I'm here nonetheless and I'm going to be here. And not only am I going to be here, but I'm going to connect in such a way that I bring my presence here. Okay, I'm going to stop right there because, again, I want you to listen to the whole video. And the link is just right below. Okay, I'm going to shift into our final topic for today. That is the balancing of the divine feminine and the divine masculine, which is nothing new. I know it's nothing new to any of you, but so many of us have been focused so much on release. Spirit brought this topic up in our fairies gathering last night. It's really so fun what we get to do in the gatherings. It feels like I should recap them all the time because there's so much incredible information that comes through. But essentially what we did was healing work for Gaia. We did some gridding. We worked with the fairies and the dragons, and we allowed her to release through some of the layers of her body. And then we shifted into a personal activation for each of us, where I called in a dragon guide and a fairy guide for each of the people there. And as we did that, I felt led to assist them in balancing the divine feminine and the divine masculine within their bodies. And the fairy represented the divine feminine, the dragon represented the divine masculine, and they basically sat with and were in the space of these beings who helped their body to calibrate and come into that balance. So it was so beautiful. The thing about it that was interesting to me again was the fact that we've been so focused on release, and Spirit was like, well, don't forget about this really important thing that's going on right now on the planet with so many people. So I want to remind you to sit with that, to invite in any kind of meditation or activation that you can do to help you balance the divine feminine, the divine masculine energetically within your body. I'll actually be putting out a meditation this week, helping you to do that. But there are a lot of them out there, and anything that you can do to help yourself in that way, I want to let you know that is another theme for the coming weeks and probably months. Again, my friends, I'm so grateful to have you here with me to co-create. I'm holding space for you during this time of release, this time of balancing, this time of rebirth, whatever it is you're going through. I'm holding space and sending you so much love. Until next time.